Let's just take a moment to think about wealthy lemurs. This is Buddhist Books Podcast, episode 260, Padmasambhava, part 17, in which I will continue reading The Life and Liberation of Padmasambhava by Yeshe Tsogyal, beginning with Canto 33. If you would like to start at the beginning or anywhere in the middle of what we've read so far, you can click here to go to the Padmasambhava playlist here on Buddhist Books Podcast, and you can start at the beginning or wherever you left off. All right. So without further ado, I will get to the reading. Canto 33. The sojourn in the cemetery, pile of the worlds, where he received the name Dorje Dradog. Now there is in the land of Udiyana the large cemetery lotus pile, having a circumference of 1.5 leagues. In the center is a stupa, which arose alone and is self-luminous, where dwells the great Lamia Puskasi. Puskasi, right? Yes. In the southeast is the marvelous tree of the tombs, the mango, frequented by many sinister birds. In the southwest is the dark green lake of the water of the tombs, where fish of the tombs multiply. Nearby are the sepulchres and the frogs of the tombs, and many white daughters of the Gandharva, who devour all the dead from the water of the tombs. In the northwest is the funeral fire, heat which burns the sight. And in the midst of the fire, many daughters of the god of the wind, with flesh yellow and white, mounted on heifers, brandishing skeletons. In the northeast is the funeral wind, great amplitude, and in the gusts, warriors covered with armor and doing battle. In the east, on the mountain of the tombs, beautiful tooth, many fierce creatures of the tombs sleep. In the south, multicolored dakinis of knowledge are writing and reading, meditating, explaining, and predicting on the 3 yogas, treasure of the inexhaustible Dharma. In the north, the multitude of gods of discrimination assemble. In this great cemetery of terror, Padma, with his back to the stupa, turned the wheel of the Dharma for 5 years. And the white Dakini Santaraksita covered below with trousers of white cotton, holding a bowl full of blood in her hand, and having a garland of dried skulls tying her shingon, Chignon, Editor Edward.
A chignon is a hairstyle that involves gathering the hair into a knot or roll at the back of the head.
Thank you, Editor Edward. Remained kneeling before Padmasambhava and learned how to wish for the union which saves. Here he received the secret name of Senge Dradog. Now in the cemetery piled up black clouds, the noble guarantor of perfect joy appears as Vajrapani. He manifests in a brilliant form a luminous body which one cannot touch. His untied hair is held back by a piece of blue silk. In his right hand he holds a golden vajra, and with his left he rings a silver bell. Thus, from Vajrapani, who was like a segment of the rainbow, Padma heard the perfect tantra of the Anu Yoga. He also heard the Gesang Gnags Blamed, Don Erdzog's Duspai Ergyud, the 9 general tantras, and the 15 special tantras. He also heard the 10 or so hundred particular tantras, and the 8 sections of the Guya Mula Garbha Tantra. He heard the Erdor Sems Sagyu Frul Gesang by Sun Ying Po, and the Rolpa Mngad Lamo Sagyu Frul, the Dukil Kor Erdzogs Pa Sagyu Frul Bergyad, and the Frinlas Erdogs Pa Sagyu Frul Bzhi Bakupa, the Yeshe Rang Snang Sgyu Frul Blama, and the Yontan Murtar Fien Skew Frol Bergyad Ku. Appendices explaining vows. The Sgyu Frol Dra Ba, embracing the sacred canon, all of which Vajrapani masterfully blended together. Next, Padma came to the land of Khotan, to the great cemetery Pile of the Worlds. Having a circumference of 3.5 leagues, in the center is the self-rising stupa Keusa, where dwells the great Lamia, the lady of the charnel houses. In the northwest is the marvelous tree of the tomb's pleasant abode, where venomous coiled serpents surrounded by the swine and the birds of the tombs all feed on the flesh of children. Isn't that nice? In the northeast, in the fragrant lake of the sepulchral water, the swarming creatures of the water eat other creatures, some skeletons, some moribund. Editor Edward. Moribund, adjective, being in the state of dying, approaching death. Thank you, Editor Edward. Some fleshless, some already half devoured, some still alive, to be eaten from top to bottom. And young girls of the Kumbanda skin all the dead creatures of the water of the tombs. In the southeast, in the fire of the funerals, white and black boars vomit out skeletons. In the southwest, in the obituary wind whirling, the genies of the sun, mother, sun, other sun. The first one was S-U-N. The second one was S-O-N. Sun in the sky, mother, son, child. And brother take refuge, exhausted. In the north, the living king of the mountain of tombs projects like sparks a quantity of fireflies. In the east, many creatures of the tombs are there, some dead, others ill, others convulsed with agony, others as skeletons, others deeply cut with arrows, others full of life, others in their youth, with apparent riches and treasures of gems. In the south, Balong with the face of a bull, a leopard fur on his black body, a long javelin with a skull in his hands, and a makara, brilliant like a fish, on his back, mounts a white swine with a cadaver in the guise of a saddle. And in the west, mounted on an ox, Red Kali, a noble lady, holds a trident and a skull filled with blood, and devours human hearts. Now in this great and terrible cemetery, sojourning 5 years, Padma turned the wheel of the Dharma for the Dakinis, and he received the name Dorje Drollod. Of the history, unabridged, of the lives of the Guru of Udayana, Padmasambhava. This is the 33rd canto, the sojourn in the cemetery lotus pile, sealed odes. All right, so this next section, it says Portfolio 2. I have to wonder if everything that we've read so far was Portfolio 1. I don't know. It's a mystery, one of many. The 8 manifestations and biography of Padmasambhava is what we're reading next. Ooh, and there's an illustration. You can see it better on the screen than, because Editor Edward will have put this over there. That's the illustration. It says plate 6. All right. And then there's some Tibetan writing. I can't read that, of course. Oh, this is about the plates. Plate 6, Guru Padmasambhava. Plate 7. What? Okay. There's like a map, or there's like a drawing of different things, and they're all numbered. And here's another illustration over here. It says plate 7. Plate 7, Guru Tsogyal Dorje. Okay. How interesting. There's just a lot of illustrations today. Plate 8. For plate 8, it says Guru Urgyan Dorje Cheng. Oh, okay. I think I get it. So everything from Canto 1 to Canto 9 was Guru Padmasambhava from plate 6. And then everything from Canto 12 to Canto 20 was Guru Urgyan Dorje Cheng, which was plate 8. Okay. And then plate 9 is this one here. And that is Guru Padmasambhava. Is that different from Padmasambhava? Oh, okay, no. Plate 6 was Guru Padmasambhava, but plate 7. Okay. Plate 7 was Guru Tsogyal Dorje, and that was Canto 1 through Canto 9. All right. So this next one is plate 9, Guru Padmasambhava. That relates to Cantos 21 through 28, which we've read in previous episodes. And then plate 10 is related to Cantos 29 through 33. This is plate 10 over here. And the name is Guru Lodan Chogsed. I feel like I need to rewatch the whole series now with these plates in mind. And now we're getting into things that we haven't even read yet. So this is plate 11. Put that over here. And it says that this is related to Canto 34, which we haven't read yet, through Canto 39, which obviously we haven't read yet. And then it goes on even how long? Wow. That's amazing. I guess there's going to be a lot of illustrations in this one because they're all here. I think it covers the whole book. So there's like more written about... No, it's just the titles of the cantos that are written. So plate 12 is Guru Shakya Sang, and that will cover cantos 40 through 47. There'll be a test on this, so I hope that you have your thinking caps on and are memorizing everything. Plate 13, over there on that side, so I'm leaning over this way to help, is Guru Nyima, Nyima, Odzer. And this will cover cantos 49 through 53. There's 108, if you were wondering, total cantos. Plate 14, up there, is going to cover cantos 54 through 62. So I think these are all the different phases that he went through, according to the story. Plate 15, this one's pretty intense. I seem to remember on the way up to Tiger's Nest, there was a big footprint in carved, like indentation in the ground. And my guide sharing was saying that this was made by Padmasambhava in one of his wrathful aspects. So I think that probably one of these or several of these are his wrathful aspects. So that plate 15 is Guru Dorje Drolod. We just got to that. That's how he was given the name Guru Dorje Drolod. But it covers cantos 67 through 80. So I'm a little confused because at the end of Canto 32 he received the name, but the stories of him by that name don't come up until Cantos 64 through 80. So I have a feeling this is going to be kind of a long study. In other words, we'll read through all these books and then we'll have to kind of like reanalyze them. Sort of like it's not enough to watch The Matrix once. You have to watch it 2 or 3 times, Well, maybe. Next is plate 16. And that says Santaraksita. And that was a name that came up in today's reading so far. And it has to do with Canto 82 through Canto 102. So we're going to run out of cantos pretty soon. This last one, plate 17, up on the screen, is Trisong Detsen. Maybe they're not all forms of Padmasambhava, because isn't he, well, anyway. Again, I'm not a teacher, I'm a student. I'm learning at the same time as you. You probably know better than me. He relates to Cantos 103 through 108. Okay. Wow, they just decided to put these illustrations there in between Canto 33 and Canto 34. Now, we're up to Canto 34. Are you ready? Me too. The sojourn in the cemetery of the mysterious apparitions, where he received the name Todrang Tsai. Now, Padma reached the abode of the knowledge-bearer who frequents heaven. In the cemetery of sleep, in the mysterious paths of beatitude, he came to the place of the Dakini Surya Kandrasiddhi, the highest of the Dakinis, Sangwa Yeshe. Padma, also called Bhiksu Kunga Manlam, desired to go before her, as she was also the great sovereign Dakini of deeds, Lai Gyi Wangmo. Finding the door to the castle of the skull closed, he could not attain salvation. So he sent a message through the maidservant Kumari. And when he received no reply, he asked her if she had forgotten. She was carrying a crystal chalice, which she had filled with water. And Padma said, quote, "Let me carry it and put it on the chalice sideboard for you." End quote. And the victorious one put the chalice on the sideboard and caused it to adhere there. Kumari tried and tried, but could not get the chalice to move. She removed the carrying cord and went up to the victorious one. With a crystal dagger, she cut open her breast, within which appeared the many-colored splendor of the gods of the calm diamond plain. And I thought this was impressive. You know this image of the sheet in her breast has... Sounds cool to visualize. Okay. Then the maidservant spoke, quote, "You also possess the force of the powerful formulas, but what of my miracles, great man?" End quote. And she bowed and circumambulated him. Quote, "I ask," end quote, he said, quote, "for the investiture of high powers," end quote. Quote, "I am only a servant," end quote, she said. Quote, "Come inside," end quote. Upon entering, Padma beheld the Dakini enthroned on the dais of Surya Kandrasiddhi, adorned with the 6 solar and lunar ornaments. Padma prostrated himself to the enthroned Dakini, circumambulated her, and presented to her a golden wheel with 1,000 spokes, and he begged her for the teachings, outer, inner, and secret. There appeared many rainbow lights in the sky, in front of a multitude of gods. Of good destiny, of noble race, he now asked for the great powers. Quote, before the supreme sages appeared, without yet the name of Buddha, even the Buddha of the 1,000 ages depended on the Lama. I aspire to see the majestic and superior lake of glory, as revealed in the moon of your face. To see, through grace, the one who instructs. I do not ask for power from the gods, but I ask this of the teacher. End quote. The Bhikshuni spoke, quote, you understand in your request for power that all the gods are gathered in my heart. End quote. She then changed Dorje Drolod into the symbol hum. She swallowed him, thus conferring blessings upon him. Outwardly, his body became like that of the Buddha Amitabha, and he obtained the powers of the knowledge-bearer of life. From the blessings of being within her body, inwardly his body became that of Avalokiteshvara, and he obtained the powers of the meditation of the Great Seal. And he obtained the powers of the... He was then, with blessings, ejected through her secret lotus. And his body, speech, and mind were thus purified from mental defilements. Secretly, his body became that of Hayagriva, being of power, and he obtained the power of binding the highest gods and genies. Now, in the unsurpassed palace of the plane of essence, a solid structure, a structure formed by one single stroke, the faithful one of the oceans of victory, the knowledge-bearer Vajradharma and Vajragarbhadara, as well as knowledge-bearer Kunjararaja, showed the purple shell of their mouths, surrounded by many sons and daughters of deities, by rainbows and the sound of music. They gave Padma the precepts in that very place and conferred on him the corresponding powers. With the power of the friends of good, those sure supports, he was invested as the metamorphic body with 8 outer forms. With the power of compilations and of the books which give the doctrines of the Dharma, he was invested as the body of fruition with the 8 inner forms. With the power of full knowledge and with the power of the tutelary divinities, He was invested as the body of essence with the 8 secret forms, with the sovereign power of the Great Seal completed. He was invested as the immovable Vajra with the 10 powerful forms. The Lord himself of the 5 transcendence, the supreme Vajradhara, embracing his energy, invested him with the pure void of the general views. Finally, Padma was invested with the 5 hidden powers. Power of the rain of jewels, power of the gems of Jambala, power of the treasure of the Brahmins, power of high life, power of the assembled multitudes. Then Dorje Drolod prophesied, quote, "In Burma, in the golden land, in the solitude of a cave, the son of the king Kargyal, Sri Simha, is seated. He contemplates all the doctrines in a single indivisible one. In order to explain, go straight to the depth. This is his rule." End quote. And people came to Sri Simha and asked for the Dharma, which is indivisible and has absolute meaning. Sri Simha pointed with his index finger to the sky. Quote, "Do not attach yourself. Do not attach yourself to thought. Do not attach yourself either to what does not arise, or to what does arise, does arise! Exclamation point. One arises and frees oneself at the same time. One arises and frees oneself at the same time. He said it twice. Empty, empty, not empty, not empty, strictly empty, without stopping, without stopping, stopped, stopped, with stopping, forever empty, strictly empty, strictly empty, without limits above as below, overflowing from everywhere, vital, absolute truth, this treasure of Sri Simha, lets itself be seen when theory and practice are sufficient and united. End quote. Thus he spoke and disappeared into a diamond depth. And the saint arrived next in the land of Sala, in the great cemetery of the mysterious apparitions, which has a circumference of 3.5 leagues. In the center is the self-rising stupa Kapata, dwelling of the great blood-drinking Mamo. In the southwest is the marvelous tree of the tombs, Golden Security. Good name for an old folks' home. The fruits of which are eaten by many creatures of the tombs. In the northwest is the water of the tombs, the lake most excellent. which is frequented by many creatures of the tombs, including the daughters of Nagendra and the daughters of Yaksas, who look like cadavers. Like a goth club, kind of, a little bit. In the northeast is the funeral fire cloud of smoke, and in the whirlings of the fire are male and female demons, who eat the carcasses of men, of horses, of oxen, and of still others, and who play at countless games. They seem nice. In the southeast is the funeral wind of 5 origins, and among the wild shadows are dissimilar creatures without number, some dead, none being born. Without number, none dead, none being born, none aged. What does that leave? All of them are teenagers. Okay. In the west, on the mountain of the tombs, descent from Titans, live lemurs of many kinds, without poverty, possessing treasures of miraculous gems. Let's just take a moment to think about wealthy lemurs. Lemurs of all kinds, many kinds of lemurs, free from poverty, with gems. All right, we can take that with us, I think. If nothing else from today's reading, we can remember the wealthy lemurs. Oh, it was the wealthy lemurs one. That was the one, there were a bunch of pictures in the middle, and then there were the wealthy lemurs. All right, now let's keep going. Right. In the north, there is only one form, the goddess Sahadara, yellow in color, wearing a wild fur, tearing rotten tree trunks high and low with both hands, and carrying on her back the yet moist heads of men. She mounts a black sheep, why not, with a skeleton for a saddle. In the east, the White Lady of Things. It's the white and then capital L Lady of capital T Things. So it's not the White Lady of Things. It's the White Lady of Things. I'll keep reading. Mounted on a corpse, moves by elevating herself. Here, among the terrors of the charnel house, with his back against the stupa, Padma made the wheel of the Dharma turn for the Dakinis for 5 years. And he received the secret name Todrang Tsal, strength of the rosary of skulls. Of the history, unabridged, of the lives of the Guru of Udayana, Padmasambhava, this is the 34th canto, the sojourn in the great cemetery of mysterious apparitions. Sealed oaths. Wow. Wow. That was a lot. It seemed like, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to affect how these words are absorbed by you. So I'll just say that it seemed like the beginning of today's reading and the end of today's reading had a similar quality, a sort of horror-ish, but not as far as I can guess or intuit, not for the sake of evoking fear, like a horror movie, if that makes sense. More for the sake of overcoming fear, generally speaking. Kind of plowing through and confronting things that a person's mind and heart may look away from, obviously, for obvious reasons, but kind of in the... See, there's some things that are unique to the later forms of Buddhism, but don't exist apart from the earliest forms. In other words, the idea of having no preference and no aversion, no likes and no dislikes. That idea was in original Buddhism. And then 17 some odd hundred years later, you find, or a little more, depending on whether this was actually handwritten by Yeshe Tsogyal or penned by the treasure finder. Either way, it seems to kind of go back and forth between evocative imagery of an almost sexual nature, the secret lotus and entering inside the body of the goddess Dakini, things like that, to gain CDs, or to gain powers, to gain insights, to gain wisdom, to gain tantras, to gain... and then he's teaching the Dakinis. He's spinning the Dharma wheel for the Dakinis. So he's spending 5 years here, 3 years here, in these scary, scary, scary places, meditating and teaching the demonic ghosts that are present in the cemetery, elevating them from a status so that, for example, when, in the circles that I come from, in other words, American sort of spiritual New Age, subcultures, the term Dakini is kind of commonly known, as it is a term that is oft repeated in forms of Tibetan Vajrayana Buddhism. But then when I said the word over here in India, people who come from a Hindu background would say, don't even say that word. Those are scary. That's a scary type of spirit. So today in present day, there are people who view the Dakinis as scary spirits you find in a cemetery. And so that was the same world in which Padmasambhava went into the cemeteries and taught them Buddhism and brought them into an elevated status so that there's iconography and all, they're depicted alongside gods, goddesses, bodhisattvas, and Buddhas in Vajrayana temples. That's very interesting. That's something to contemplate. I mean, I think it would be to bring down the significance of it if I were to try to sum up or summarize or put into a small phrase or sentence or paragraph or even book what it is about that is fascinating, interesting, and contemplating ideas like this cause processes to occur within the subtler aspect of one's nature. That's what I'd say. But I'm just a guy. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's reading. If you're still here, please feel free to like and subscribe so I can know that there's new people who are watching and enjoying these recitals. And all right. That's it for today. I'll go ahead and do the usual closing, which is my dad taught me this Vajrayana type meditation when I was very young, and he would always end it with the following words. To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us and to the spirits below. We send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Until next time.